Be content, but be content with nothing less than perfect peace. These are beautiful, beautiful words. It's a beautiful message that I was blessed to receive many years ago in Revelation, but it took me a long, long time to understand the depth of them. We understand the experience of contentment, and although it's often rare and usually very short-lived, we know that it's a blessing and it's the gift of the peace of God. But it occurs when we realize that for a moment at least, we have no needs, that we're not struggling to get, that we're not wanting anything, and we're not afraid. And so peace comes over us. And this kind of experience of contentment is usually in the moment, and again, often very short-lived. But it's the beginning. It's just a very, very, very little, small beginning, but gives us a taste of what real contentment is. But real contentment itself doesn't occur at that level. It goes much, much deeper, because it occurs when we come into a depth of understanding that we really do not need anything but God. And so before we get to that point, there's a different kind of contentment arises, a contentment that arises from our refusal to be dissuaded into leaving that space by the temptation to yield to desires that maybe not just so superficial and on the surface, but deep hidden desires that have been there for eons of time, hidden. We have these propensities that remain below the surface, and they're kind of kept under wraps by ego because they're not needed. Ego needs to maintain its autonomy by allowing you to be trapped into these superficial desires on the surface. And when you allow yourself and give yourself the strength or receive the strength to overcome those, then the ego comes under threat. And so it looks for a deeper kind of desire that has been at the very core of your being since time began, or at least since we made time. And those core desires are very powerful and require the grace of God to be overcome. So we need to forgive, and in the forgiveness and the transformation that takes place when we give these desires to God, the kind of contentment that we've experienced at the surface level changes color. It takes a different form. It's more of a steadfastness in the face of temptation. It's more of a refusing to yield to the power of those suggestions and those temptations that arise from deeply, deeply powerful tendencies. And those tendencies arise to challenge our deep desire for real peace. So it's really the desert experience that Jesus experienced, where you really come in face to face with your own devil, your own innermost denial of God. And so it's the time to say, "Get thee behind me, Satan." If it were not for the power and the support and the love and grace of the Holy Spirit, we would would have no chance of resisting these desires. But a wonderful aspect of grace occurs to give us strength. We receive this incredible gift of knowing what it is that's really there before it arises in the thoughts that represent the temptation. And so we become prepared. We can gather our strength together and be prepared to know that what is required is absolute determination and absolute willingness. So this kind of desire it's not the kind of desire that is passive in just simply saying no. It requires great strength, and when we are allowed to actually to know what is coming up and what it is that we're going to be faced with, we can gather that strength and face them. And so the kind of peace, if you like, the kind of stillness of mind that we were able to enjoy at the surface level when we experience contentment is different. It's a steadfastness. It's a refusal. It's not so much an awakening to what it is that we really are, but as a complete and total refusal to carry on dreaming. It's the same thing, really, but at the same time, the focus is different. The focus is on the dream and the refusal. And that's very powerful. But we're supported. We're supported with that preparation and with that grace that allows us to remain steadfast and unyielding to that power. Without the grace of God, this could not be possible. So far from being passive, this experience of contentment is incredibly dynamic. It's a complete and total remaining in a state of not doing anything, not doing anything at all to either refuse or accept, but just simply to be. And then we come into a much deeper sense of beingness through that. And in that beingness, we recognize that the only thing that we really desire, is the peace of God. So then we know that to be content with nothing less than perfect peace. The world